Hi, everyone. We are just getting started here. We're going to talk about the Amber effect. The second mindset we're going to get into today is all about moving and motivating. And so I'm going to kind of just talk for a few minutes as we let people show up and come on and listen to this live. In the meantime, just so you know, this is the second part in a 5-part series that we're doing. And the first one we did last week, which was ask. So what I want you guys to do, if you get a chance after this, go check that out, watch it. If you haven't already watched it, I think you might find it really, really helpful. And today we're going to focus on the mindset of moving and motivation. And I'll introduce myself in a couple minutes, but I just want to give a chance for everybody to kind of hop on. In the meantime, if you know anybody in your life, particularly moms, but the stuff I'm going to talk about today applies regardless. But if you have any mom friends that are just feeling stuck, feeling frustrated, feeling, overwhelmed, like they know what they want to do, but they just don't know how to do it and how to move forward. And, it's easy then to get really frustrated and overwhelmed, right? So if you're feeling that way, this is for you. You're going to learn a lot of really good stuff, powerful stuff, and tools and tactics, like strategies that are actually that you're realistically able to use, right? And so I'm all about, understanding that moms are already feeling guilty, feeling busy, feeling overwhelmed, feeling frustrated, feeling physically exhausted and spent. Okay. So the last thing I want to do is add to that, right? My whole purpose here is to provide you tools that are like realistic, that you can actually put into your day, and that will give you more time, give you more energy, give you more hope, give you more joy, right? Not take up any of that. Okay. Because that's the opposite of what we want for you, right? So today is all about getting moving. How do you do it? How do you get started? Why is it so hard, right? Okay, so now that we've got people here, and if you text any friends, hey, I'm listening to this live with Motherhood Maternity and Amber Trueblood, and she's going to talk about motivational tactics. Please share it with friends and let them know we're chatting. And if you have any questions, go ahead and hop in the chat and put your questions in there, and I'll try to keep an eye on that and answer any as we go, okay? So to introduce myself, I'm Amber Trueblood. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and mom to 4 boys. Right now they are 8, 10, 12, and 13 years old. And yes, all boys. We actually homeschool right now. We've been homeschooling for a while. And all of the tools and tricks and tactics that I teach you, that I talk about with my clients, that I teach my customers, all of those things are exactly what I wish I had known 10 years ago when I was in the weeds, right? When I was in the weeds with all my little ones and feeling very overwhelmed and exhausted. And like I just didn't have the tools, right? So I really want to help those of you who are feeling right now either not motivated at all, or you're motivated, but it just doesn't seem to be working, right? Like you know what you want, you know what your goals are, whether that's in your physical health, your relationship, your friendships, your job, your parenting, your self-care, any of those areas. All of the stuff that I'm going to talk about today applies regardless of what area of your life you're looking to move forward in, have some growth, have some expansion in a positive way. Any of those areas, these tactics will apply. Okay. So, and it's your job too, as you listen to these, that not all of the tips that I give are going to apply to everybody, right? Because you're all different. You all have different personalities and different values and different things that work for you, right? So your job is to listen and make a note when it sounds like something that would work for you. That's the thing I want you to try. And like right away. Like try it tonight or try it tomorrow morning, okay? Try it in little ways so that you can get some momentum, because that is the hardest part, is getting going, right? That's the hardest part. Like whether it's with a car or, anything, when you look scientifically, the hardest part is going from 0 to 1 mile an hour. Okay, that's like inertia, right? Once you get going and you build a pattern and you build a habit, it becomes easier and easier and easier to do, right? So it's just the getting started. How do you get started? Okay, so this is for you. If you are feeling frozen, if you're feeling unmotivated, if you're feeling frustrated because you feel like you've been working your tail off and nothing's happening, or at least it's not happening in the way or in with the speed that you want it to be happening. Does that make sense? Okay. So today I'm going to cover the best strategies on the planet for getting moving, for getting yourself motivated and moving forward, because those, my friends, are the skills that you need to reach your dreams, to get what you want in your life. And you deserve it. You deserve to be a happy mama. All right. So let's do this. So I'm going to teach a couple different things. And one of my favorite concepts to talk about, and it's a story I'll share that I originally heard from Mike Dooley. He's an author and speaker, and he talks a lot about motivation and manifestation and things like that. Okay. So I call it being a duck. But I learned the story from him, and I might tell it a little bit differently. But essentially, the point is that we can learn a lot from mama ducks, right? So when a mama duck wants to go across the park to the pond, and she has 5 or 6 baby ducks sitting there, she does not wait until all the ducks line up, until everybody's in a row, until everybody's facing forward and ready to go, right? There's no way. She just turns around and walks in the direction that she wants to go, right? And then what happens? All the little ducks quickly line up behind her and go, right? So life is very similar to the mama duck and the baby duck. So often before we get moving, we think, oh, wait. My health isn't quite right. Yeah, I got to get my health ready. Oh, wait. Well, I don't have the financial resource. Oh, wait, I don't have the friends and family support. Oh, wait, no, this is happening. There's always something, right? There's always something, whether it's financial or it's health or it's situational. Oh, the holidays are coming up, right? There is always a duck out of place. There is always a reason. There will always be a reason, an excuse, so to speak. Even if it's valid, there's always going to be a reason not to do something, not to move forward. So we can either allow that to keep happening and wait until, oh, well, now we have the financial resources. Great. But now I don't have the time off work. Oh, wait, now I have the time off work, but now this is happening. The holidays are happening, right? So there's always going to be something. And it's an excuse that keeps us safe, right? Because if we don't take the risk, then we're not scared that we might fail, right? Right? Because everybody always succeeds, right? Their first time. No, like the greatest success stories in any field, literally, are filled with failures first, are filled with many, many failures, because the people who try and try and try and try, those are the ones that succeed, right? The people who get back up, right? At least get back up one more time than they fall. So it's all about trying, but that's easier said than done. And I get that. So if you are like I was, and not like a mama duck at all, and I used to wait until everything was perfect, and it never was. So I didn't do anything. And what that led to was a lot of personal frustration. And I'll tell you, I wasn't a very happy mama, and I wasn't very pleasant to be around at that time, because I wanted to make change. I wanted to be doing something different, but I believed at the time that everything had to be a certain way before I could move forward. Does that make sense? And when I say the word believe, that's kind of a hint for next week. We're going to be talking about beliefs. Okay. So last week we talked about really how to uncover what it is that you want. Okay. What is it? What do I want? What's going to make me happy? How do I figure that out? Okay. So last week we talked about that. So today is motivational techniques. And the first step is not waiting until everything is just perfect. Okay. There's another term for it. They call it analysis paralysis, right? So you're just like frozen because you're busy either analyzing stuff, which is what I used to do, or you're just waiting for everything to align, assuming that you can only move forward if everything is aligned. And you don't have to wait. And in fact, you're far less likely to get where you want to go if you wait for everything to be 100%. If you wait for it to get 80%, it's probably pretty good. So aim for 80% instead of 100%. All right. And be like a mama duck. Start face the direction you want to go and start walking. The cool thing about that, so say I'm a mama duck and I'm walking towards this big pond over here, right? And I'm walking, it's up a big hill. But as I'm cresting the hill, as I'm getting to that top of the hill, I look and I realize, oh my gosh, there's a much cooler pond right closer. It's closer, it's cleaner, and it's safer, whatever. And as I go up there, I realize, oh, I'm going to shift and we're going to go right down here. Follow me, little baby duckies. We're going to go to this pond because it's even better. But had she not even started walking, she never would have even seen this other pond. Okay. Does that make sense? So just because her intent was to go to pond A, so to speak, doesn't mean, okay, well, that's the only place I could go because that's what I decided. No, you have more information now. She has more information. She sees this other location that is even better. So that's the other part about getting moving is often, you always have permission to change your mind as you grow, as you learn more. Okay. So I did this a long time ago. I thought, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? And I decided I wanted to build a school. And as I did all my research and traveled and interviewed people and started my business planning and all of that stuff, I realized in the process that I actually didn't want to build a school. I wanted to homeschool my children and travel. That seems totally different, but it took those 9 months of being on that path towards building a school and learning what I needed to learn about myself and about my family and about what was important to us for me to even come to that decision. And I'll tell you this, there's no way I would have jumped from where I was to homeschooling. There's no way I would have made that decision because at the time I felt totally unprepared. I did not know what that meant. Just the idea of it gave me the heebie-jeebies, right? I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy, right? And it turned out to be the best thing for our family at the time, but I never would have gotten there had I not first given myself permission to go this direction. Does that make sense? So just because you make this plan doesn't mean you can't shift because you learn more. You have different information. So of course you might have to make different choices. And any very successful company in history that does not change with the times, that does not augment their approach and even their product a little bit, you kind of keep to your core beliefs, you keep to your core values, because that's you, that stays constant most of the time. But what that looks like might be different. Okay. So it's really the wise thing to do to keep those opportunities open for yourself, right? Okay, so 2 things here we talked about is not waiting for everything to be perfect, right? Just start moving even at 80%. Don't wait for 100% because it will probably never happen. Or it'll be like 2:00 in the morning and everybody unconscious for the 50 seconds that everything aligns, right? So first step, 80%, get moving. Second step is you always have permission to change your mind. You always have permission to shift your goals as you learn more or as your environment changes around you, right? We all have different values, different lifestyles, different family dynamics, different priorities, right? And different personalities. And that changes, right? That changes as we go through life, and that's okay. It's the fun part of life, okay? It can also be stressful, but it can be fun, all right? So another one I want to talk about is the stop doing list, okay? And what is cool about this is there are lots of things in your life that you're spending time doing that don't necessarily serve you. And I'm not saying every moment of your day has to be scheduled and efficient and effective, and I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to drive you nuts, right? But what I'm saying is there probably are times in your day that you're spending doing things that really don't serve you, or you could get the same amount of relaxation or the same amount of a break in your day, but it actually refuels you even deeper than whatever it is you're doing. So for instance, I used to listen to talk radio in the car all the time because I like to talk and I like to listen to people talk. This is kind of before there were podcasts even, okay? But I also really, really love to read. I love to read. I'm obsessed with books and reading. So what I started doing was instead of listening to talk radio, which could have been about anything, and I really wasn't learning anything, and I love to learn, is I replaced that time with listening to audiobooks. I was still listening to people talking, so I still had that benefit from it, but I was also learning, which really fueled me because that's something important to me, right? And for instance, like getting a manicure or a pedicure was like $20. Instead of doing that, which, yes, I like them. They're pleasant for sure. I found a Korean day spa near me that was $20 for the day, and I could go spend 3 hours there and come out so incredibly refreshed and revitalized for almost the same, well, yeah, for at that time, this was a few years ago, for the same price as it would cost me to get a pedicure. But man, I was getting so much more value out of it. Does that make sense? So there are things that you are doing, and you can ask yourself, what am I doing? What do I spend time doing during the day that if I replaced maybe scrolling on Instagram right before bed, or reading the news in the morning, and it's just making me crazy, what can I replace that with that is important to me that I also will enjoy? Okay. So there's a way to stop doing certain things that will give you actually more time and space in your day and also improve your emotional state. Okay. Which is going to benefit not only you, but everybody around you, right? Everybody, because you're going to be more patient, you're going to be more clear, you're going to be more calm. Okay. So creating a stop doing list for yourself can be really helpful. So taking a few minutes and saying, okay, what can I stop doing? What's really not serving me? I really don't get much out of it, but man, I do it like every day for at least a half hour. What are those things on your list that you can stop doing and replace with something that's more important to you? Okay. And why I say this is why this is in my motivation kind of section of the Amber effect is because when we feel exhausted and spent, physically and mentally, it's really, really tough to feel motivated, right? So this is just a way to allow you a little bit more emotional and mental refueling so that you have more energy to do the next thing. Does that make sense? Okay, so here are some other hints and tactics for getting yourself moving. Okay, so ask yourself, are you somebody that really, really loves big, audacious goals? Like something big, like if you have a big project with a big, maybe you're going to do a mini triathlon, okay? Or you're going to sign up for a cooking contest or, something that's big, that's a commitment that you're going to make and you're going to work towards, okay? So if you're somebody who's very motivated with something like that, with a big audacious goal, then that's what you want to do. You want to set yourself up with a big audacious goal. So for instance, if you want to get healthier, right? You want to drink more water, you want to start, going jogging for 30 minutes every morning just to be healthier. Maybe the truth is that's not enough motivation for you because you're always going to find other things to do instead, or your foot's going to hurt, or somebody's going to need help with their homework. There's always going to be something to do instead that takes precedent, and then you don't end up doing it, and then you feel like, oh, there I go again, promising I'm going to do something, and then I don't do it, and then I feel like a loser, and I'm all self-judgmental, right? Which doesn't help anybody. Instead, if you're somebody that really responds well to a big, audacious goal, then set some for yourself in the category that you want to be motivated in. So if I wanted to exercise on a daily basis, then if I was a big audacious goal person, I would set myself up for that. I would sign up for something that sounded really exciting and a little bit scary, and I would use that as my motivator. Does that make sense? Now, other people, that's not going to motivate me at all. I need micro goals. Okay. I need micro goals. Every day I'm going to do 5 push-ups. That's it. 5 or 1. You make it tiny, tiny, tiny. And the theory is with micro goals is that you make them so small that it's almost embarrassing not to do it. Okay. But the purpose is that it does build momentum. It gets you down on the floor to do 1. And then often you're going to do more than 1 since you're already down there. So say you end up doing 5. Not only did you did you have success with that goal, but you even surpassed it. So that can be really, really motivating for people. So if you're a micro goal person, then set yourself some micro goals in the area that you want to build on, grow in. Does that make sense? Okay. So we got micro goals, we got big audacious goals. Sometimes you're somebody that needs an accountability partner. Doing stuff by yourself in a vacuum is just So boring. It's so boring and it just won't happen, right? So maybe you make a commitment to a friend who has a similar goal and you say, hey, let's go to this yoga class. Let's learn this instrument. Let's do this together. Will you help me stay accountable? And I'll help you. How does this sound? Finding an accountability partner. Now, sometimes somebody says, oh, yeah, I'll do that. And then they don't follow up. So really finding somebody who needs it and wants it as much as you do, it might take a couple tries, right? It might take a couple tries to find that person. But if you know you're far more likely to do something if you have an accountability partner, then finding one will serve you like in every area of your life for years potentially. Okay. So big audacious goals, we have micro goals, we have accountability partners. Okay. The other thing is deadlines. So some people, maybe it's not a big audacious goal. You don't have to train for a super ultra marathon, but you need to set a deadline. And the trick about deadlines is what makes them very effective often is if you set a deadline that's slightly less time than you think it should take you, right? It's got to feel squished. Okay. It's got to feel some urgency to it so that you get the impact of that deadline. Okay. And you might want to join it with an accountability thing so you don't just keep moving the deadline because that defeats the purpose, right? So maybe you're somebody who responds really well to deadlines and you want to get a new job. So part of that is sending out resumes. Okay. So you might say, instead of saying, okay, well, by the end of this month, I want to send out like 20 resumes. Well, I'm no judgment here, but I'm just using that as an example. So instead, if that's your goal, okay, 20 resumes by the end of this month, and that's maybe 20 days away, you might instead set a deadline that's, I'm going to send out 5 resumes by the end of the day tomorrow. Now that's, you can't put that off. You know what I mean? Like that is a deadline that should feel squish, should feel some urgency to it, should get some adrenaline going. So you want to set a deadline that's slightly shorter than what you would actually need. Okay. And then maybe tell a friend to help you stay accountable to that. Does that make sense? So we have big audacious goals, we have micro goals, we have accountability partners, we have setting deadlines. Let's see what else. Gamifying things. So Vishen Laikhani, who wrote in the Extraordinary Code of the Extraordinary Mind, he talks about gamification. And now gamification is like everywhere, right? So it's not just for video games and it's not just for kids, right? And learning platforms have it. And now they realize, oh, this stuff works for adults too. Adults like prizes. They like points. They like badges. They like awards, right? And so we can do that with ourselves. We can say, okay, I'm going to do this. And my treat is, my little reward, my mini reward will be, my favorite coffee or my, a phone call with this girlfriend. I'm going to take a walk. Whatever it is, set yourself up with little rewards to get the stuff done that you don't really like to do. Another thing, Marissa Peer, another speaker, very well-known speaker, she talks about the habits of very, very people who are both very, very successful and very, very happy, right? Which doesn't necessarily mean the same thing. So these are people who both seem to be and say they are very, very happy and they're very successful. So these people do the stuff they like least first to get it off their plate. So it's not hanging off their head. Right? So if you have a list of 20 things you need to do that day, and there's like 2 of them that you're just like, oh, I hate this. I really don't want to do that. If you leave it to the end of your day, then it's just weighing on you all day. And it turns out that the people who are very successful and very happy tend to have a very natural tendency. They don't even think of doing it a different way. It's very logical and built into them to get the cruddy stuff over with first. Right? To do the worst thing on your list first, to get it out of the way. Boom. Now I can move on with my day. Right? So we can learn from that. We can copy that and do our worst stuff first. Get that out of the way. Just get it done. So that's kind of like a side trip. But gamification is giving yourself small treats for the things that you want to do, especially when it's not fun and tedious. I think it's especially effective to use gamification for that kind of stuff, because you don't need to gamify stuff that you already enjoy. If you love going to yoga classes and you make it to a yoga class, that's the prize in and of itself. So gamification is particularly useful when it comes to something that you don't want to do, or that at least is neutral. It's either bad or neutral. Okay. So we have Be a Doc, we have setting big audacious goals, we have micro goals, we have accountability partners. There's so many things, so many tools you can use to be more effective in your day. Okay. I want to share something with you too. So, on my website, ambertrueblood.com, I have 2 different things for you. I have one that is a 21 tips to sanity for moms, and it's all about self-care tools in different areas. So mental, emotional, physical, just top 3 in each one of those categories that can really benefit your life. And then for new moms, I have 7 survival tips for new moms. So this is something that's really specific to new moms. Like, I just didn't want y'all have to go through 21 things. I wanted you to be specific, and I wanted to just really focus on, okay, if there were only 5 things, okay, well, maybe there's seven. I was like limited it to 7 to make sure it's really helpful to you. So you can go check out those 7 survival tips for new moms, and it's a free download at ambertrueblood.com. So definitely check that out and look at those, download them, or just save them on your phone so you can remind yourself. Because most of my tips and things that I talk about, they're not difficult to understand. They're not challenging to figure out, and you don't need like Wikipedia next to you. They're very, very simple, but they're not always easy. Does that make sense? So easy does not mean simple. They're simple to understand. Okay, drink more water every day. Okay, yeah, I know that. I know I should drink more water. Okay, but how do you actually do it? How do you keep the reminders? How do you motivate yourself? How do you make it actually happen so that you do the thing that you want to do, right? And that's what the motivation is all about. So I want to leave you with one more tip when it comes to motivation. And this is something simple where everybody, we, especially as moms and especially as women, often get caught up. We're so judgmental, right? We're so judgmental on ourselves that we look at what everybody else is doing, or at least what we think they're doing. And we assume, oh, look at what they have it all together. Look at what they're doing. They have this parenting stuff down easy peasy. They're sleeping all night. Their babies aren't waking up 24/7. We have all of these assumptions and expectations and self-judgments that aren't serving us. And they're also really making us disconnected from each other. And I think as women, we share so many of the same struggles and challenges and joys that, it will benefit all of us to come together more and share vulnerably what I'm struggling with, what you're struggling with. How can we help each other? How can we just listen and give each other a safe space, to be imperfect, right? Because we're all imperfect. So that being said, when it comes to motivation, we're all different as well. Maybe you're a morning person. Maybe like, man, you get it done in the morning, but come 3:00 in the afternoon, your brain is mush. So if you set yourself up with an expectation to do something in the afternoon during nap time, because that's when everybody else gets work done, that's not going to be the best answer for you, right? Because you're a morning person. That's when your brain is working, right? Or maybe you're a late at night person. As soon as everybody's to bed and the house is quiet and it's dark outside, that's when you really are problem solving and thinking and working, and your brain is going. But you think, well, everybody says I need more sleep, so I should just go to sleep right now. And you try to go to sleep. Okay, that's not being true to yourself. That's not being honest with yourself, right? So yes, I agree. You definitely need sleep, but maybe that is your time where you could get 3 hours, what might take you 3 hours in the daytime. Maybe you could do it 45 minutes at night, because you have no distractions, and that's your time of day, right? When your brain is working most quickly and most efficiently and most effectively. All right. So knowing yourself and not setting yourself up with what you think everybody else is doing, or what works for this person or that person, or what advice you get from somebody else, but really tuning into yourself. And if you're not sure, try it some different ways and see what works well for you. So that's my last tip, is be really honest with yourself about what time of day you're most likely to do something. Okay. And this works when it comes to, physical exercise, preparing foods for the week, getting emails done, doing work meetings, any area of your life, right? Only you know yourself best. So being very clear with yourself about what works for you, when you are likely to be most motivated during the day, and then actually setting yourself up for success by doing the thing at that time of day. Does that make sense? So those are all the tips that I wanted to share with you tonight. But your job is to look through those, and maybe you already know in your head, okay, I know I'll work better with an accountability partner, and I know I love gamification stuff. I know that. Okay, so what does that mean? What does that mean? Okay, all right, I'm going to email somebody right now. Okay, so your job, your assignment from this is to take action. Okay, so maybe you picked one of those and you say, okay, I need to do this. I'm going to do micro goals. Okay, now write down, what is your micro goal? What are you going to do? Okay, and not 5 different areas of your life. You know what you can handle right now, and you know what's most important to you right now. Okay, so you pick one area of your life and make one micro goal in that area and write it down. Write yourself a Post-it note, put it in your phone, write it on your mirror and some lipstick, whatever works for you that you're likely to see. Okay, and be kind with yourself. Please always be kind with yourself and be honest with yourself, because when we do that, we're better humans, we're better parents, we're better friends, we're better daughters, right? Okay, and we'll live in a happier world together, and we can support each other instead of judging ourselves, right? Okay, so go check out, if you want more tips and tricks like this, there's a lot of them at ambertrueblood.com. I have a whole self-care page of short little videos. And then I also have some downloads for you there that I hope are helpful. Also, Motherhood Maternity and I have a Mother's Day giveaway that I know Mother's Day passed, but the giveaway is still open for another few days. So check it out you can see it on their Instagram page, and you can go ahead and just put in your email address and your name. And then you will be entered to win it's over $600 in value. And that includes a $200 shopping spree at Motherhood Maternity. So I hope you win, fingers crossed. And thank you for listening. Cheers.